Watson. Good to see you again.
Good to see you all. Hello, everyone. How are you
So,
all doing?
Doing very well. How are you doing this Friday?
Doing well. Fantastic.
Excellent.
so give us the quick intro to what Amazon Translate's all about.
Great. Amazon Translate is our neural machine translation service. It's a fully managed service that delivers fast, high quality, affordable, and customizable language translation. I mentioned the word neural machine translation, and neural machine translations are pretty cool because they use the power of AI to perform translation. It's a form of language translation that uses deep learning models to deliver more accurate and more natural sounding translation than the old traditional statistical and rule based translation algorithms.
So I've seen that word neural a couple times, and I've probably typed it a couple times in blog posts, but I have to admit I've never fully grasped what that means in this context. So maybe you could explain that to me and to our audience.
Yes. So if you think of translation, what we are trying to do, I mean, we speak in different languages, and languages is a means to communicate within the group that shares the same language. But we are actually sharing ideas. And when you have two languages that belong to completely different families, the way the ideas are strung to stream of words differs. And in the past, we took those words, did the translation, had rule-based modes of translation, and it worked, but the translation output always looked a bit broken. What Neural does is it doesn't see string of words; it sees the words in respect to context. It tries to understand, for lack of better word to use, tries to understand what is being said in a sentence, and then does the translation. In a world where two people who don't share the same language, what they're trying to do is share an idea, share a concept. Neural machine translation takes the whole stream of sentences, does the encoding and the decoding in the backend, and then does the translation where this whole idea is translated fluently in the target language. So a person who reads the machine translated output, when he or she reads it, they get a very fluent and more accurate translated output because of the neural networks.
So is it reasonable to think that Translate has almost an understanding of the sentences as it's processing them, and it's not just word. It's like, okay, take a step back a bit, and this is the intent of what we're trying to express.
That is correct.
So almost like it's gauging the sentiment of your conversation or your sentence that you have.
The word would be context, because
Context.
simple words like take for instance backup. Is it data backup? Is it a truck backup? It's a police backup. There are so many meanings for the word backup, but it depends on the context, and this is where neural translation comes in.
So I know that we process a number of different languages with Translate. Did you have to train it individually on each different pair of languages, or does it go to some like more abstract or central form and then get translated back out?
So the way it happens is when we actually Amazon Translate supports 75 different languages. So you can translate from any of these 75 languages to the other 74 languages. So we support 5,550 of language translation pairs. So they just think about it. That's 5,550 ways to connect people who speak different languages. So that's what we do. And what we do is we use a very cool system. I can go into details maybe in a different forum, but goes into where these languages or sentences that are comes in one language gets understood, and then it does the translation, and within, let's say, like a split second, you get the translated output. So in case like you and I share same language, English, but let's say you and I are speaking in different languages, I can type and hit enter, and Amazon Translate would take that word, translate it, and give it to you without any perceived latency. That way, you and I can connect together and talk.
So I have a question. How many languages does that support at the moment?
75. 75 different languages and variants. That's how many we support today. And we are growing. And by the way, if you think about it, we became generally available in 2018. And in such short period, we were able to grow to support 75 different languages, and we are just getting started.
That is incredible.
Interesting. So does this mean you actually have to find enough context in every conceivable pair of languages, or is it a little bit more abstract than that?
Oh, it does try to find context in every perceivable language. That's the value we give to our customers. Of all the 75 different languages, we use neural models for all of them. So you get fluent, accurate, and context-based translated output. And you might ask, like, one thing I want to bring that out is, like today I talked about a communication system where you and I speak in different languages, let's say. Then when we chat, to communicate, we use machine translation. That is just one of the many use cases for Translate. You can also use Translate to take your ideas to many other languages. Say, for instance, AWS. You want to have AWS views used by many other people who speak in different other languages. And you can use Amazon Translate to take your ideas and reach out to people who don't necessarily understand the language of the original language. And that is, we call it localization. That is another big reason where machine translations are used. And the third one is to understand or to analyze data. So I go to a website, and sometimes I may not see the website written in the language I understand. And you can use Amazon Translate to translate stream of data from various languages to one that you can understand and do text analytics. So those are the three main use cases that we have for Amazon Translate.
So how do our customers go about building an app with this, or integrating this into an existing app?
So Amazon Translate is easy to get started. It's a simple API. You, with an AWS account, go start with Amazon Translate, and you can start with a real-time API where a single stream of sentences get translated real time. Or if you have a large archive with files and files of information that you want to translate in a batch, in an asynchronous batch mode, you can do that today. You just start by making the API call. It is pay-as-you-go service, and we also provide you a free tier for the first 1 year so that you can try the service before you use it in your production.
So when you say fast, you said fast, but you also mentioned chat. So does that mean that if we could conceivably build a chat where I type in my preferred language and we translate, and then we give whoever's on the other end, we give it to them in their language, and we're running it at human speed?
That is correct. Talking about chat, you might be familiar that Alexa has two use cases. So if you go to Alexa and say, Alexa, how to say good morning in French, in the backend, the Alexa is using Amazon Translate to translate good morning into the languages that Alexa supports. So that's how quick the response is. Same way, Alexa has another tool called Live Translation, where Alexa becomes like an interpreter. So you can just say, Alexa, translate Spanish, and you can talk to another person who speaks Spanish. And when you say something in English, Alexa listens to that in English, translates in Spanish, and then calls it out in Spanish, just as an interpreter would. And the other person can speak in Spanish, Alexa listens to it, and then calls the same thing out in English, and I can respond and I can understand. And they use Amazon Translate in the backend.
And you don't need to key what language you're speaking. The Amazon Translate and Alexa app will just kind of predefine that for us. So we don't need to say, Alexa, I'm speaking English, and then my friend says, I'm speaking Spanish.
So in Alexa, you usually have the original language. Like my Alexa, she understands English. But when I go to my Alexa and then say, Alexa, translate Spanish, then she becomes an interpreter between English and Spanish.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know I had that capability in my house. That's good to know.
Yeah. I'm going to be walking by all of my Echoes that I have here.
Yeah, and as always, it's good that we turned off all of our Alexa devices before starting our show.
That is true. Hey, and
Yeah.
I'm going to jump in here. We have a couple questions from the chat from the various avenues that we're streaming today. And so, first question is, do you need to train the model for one language to one language? So let's say you wanted to train the model to translate English to Spanish. How do you do that?
So Amazon Translate is a fully managed translation service. So there is no training required. That is the beauty. You come in and you use Amazon Translate out of the box. And there are cases sometimes where, let's say, your use case is very specialized. Say you're in a medical field or you're in a legal field. Then you may have data that you want to customize the translation to get it in your way of translating and speaking. Then you can use Amazon Translate's customization feature, which again does not need to build a model. You just bring in various examples of how words get translated in your domain, provide that as the input data, and Amazon Translate during runtime reads from your input data, understands how you expect certain translations to happen, and then provides translated output in the form that you need. So the key word that I heard from this question is model and building models. So with Amazon Translate, you really don't have to worry about building models, maintaining models, paying for those models because model building isn't free. So we made all those things easy for you. This is fully managed service. So if you just want to use out of the box, no model to be built. And if you want to customize, even then, it's a model-free customization. That way you can update your customization data as often as you'd like and get the latest up-to-date model. And you save on the cost and the manpower and like building models, you need experts to build it. Here, you don't need those experts. You just bring in the data and you do the translation.
And how does that scale? So if, for example, I had a bunch of documents that I needed to translate, how would I go about doing that? So I have a bunch of documents in English that I wanted to translate to various languages.
I can do a demo, and when we get to a demo session, I can take maybe while we are speaking a copy like Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Start with English, and if you can give me 5 different languages, I can do kick off a translation in those 5 different languages, and by the end of the show, I can show you how that goes. And the interesting thing is, it's not just one file. You can translate up to 1 million files with Amazon's asynchronous batch translation with one API call. So that let's say you have a large archive, you have been working in one region and you want to expand to a new region, you have all the materials in one language. Day one, you're going to have to translate all the backlog as quickly as possible. This is where you can do the document translation and get ready for the day one in a new language. And as new documents come in, you keep translating, but the transition or to onboard a new language is made very easy with Amazon Translate's batch translation.
Sounds like it's about time for a demo. What do you think, Kyle?
I think it's time for a demo because we also have some folks asking for just, in fact, a demonstration. So we have a question. Can we give an example of a sentence example sharing an idea of concept between languages? So I'm translating that as, see what I did there? As how can we go from one language to translate from that translation to another language? And then we also have some other examples of some folks asking for an example. So I think they want a demo. Let's give them what they want.
Let's do it.
All right.
So the best place to start is with Amazon Translate. Go to aws.amazon.com/translate. And then you can just sign into our console. That's where it's easy to get started. You really don't have to start at the console. You can call Amazon Translate through SDKs and CLIs, but console is nicer because you can do a demo and show and tell everyone. So you can see the console here. It's a very familiar user interface. Let's say if you don't even know the language that you want to translate, we even enable language detection. We use Amazon Comprehensive Language Detection to determine the dominant language in your sentence, and then we do the translation. So for example, if I want to translate hello world,
Everyone's first program language or program.
and I want to translate, do you have a recommendation for the language you'd like me to try?
Let's ask the chat. Is there a preferred or is there a language that we would like to have Watson select? And we'll just go with the first one that pops up.
Well, I'm actually heading to the AWS Summit in Stockholm later this year. So how about Swedish?
Let's try Swedish. And that is hello world. And you can try whether it is correct by just retranslating it back. And that is hello world. And the data is Swedish.
We got some French and Afrikaans and Spanish for other parts of the demo if you wish there, Watson.
Let's try French. Bonjour le monde. Excuse my pronunciation. And try, oh, by the way, talking about Spanish, we have two variants of Spanish. The Mexican Spanish is very similar to the kind of Spanish you might hear in the US and in Mexico. And Spanish is non-denominational Spanish. So for this, let me try Mexican Spanish variant, and that is Hola Mundo. If you have another sentence that you'd like me to translate, I'm also happy to do that.
All right, we got a request for Greek or Tamil. Do we support either of those? We do.
Oh, hurrah for Tamil. That's my language. That is Greek, and that is Tamil. Hello.
Wow.
And this is available for 75 languages.
Yes, 75 different languages and variants.
That's powerful.
And we're just getting started.
It's always day one, or always language one, I guess, would be the way you could.
Let me share another cool thing about, the thing about languages is there is context involved. Let's assume that you're talking to a friend, you want to talk in a more informal context, and you're talking to someone from you don't know, from another country, or someone you really don't know, have established a relationship. You might want to be very formal. Amazon Translate recently launched a customization method where you can determine the tone of the formality tone of the output. So I'm going to try Hindi, and the formality is available in 6 different languages. We should follow What's New post on Amazon Translate. Go to Amazon Translate, go to resources, and follow What's New for what is latest coming up. And let's say I want to try how are you doing, and translate it in Hindi. So if you I can read Hindi here. I'm sure some online can read this. It says "Aap kaise ho?" "Aap kaise kar rahe ho?" And if I want to make it more formal, I can just say, and it becomes formal, and you can see the word "aap." The first word becomes different, like "tum." So that is a big difference. Like the word "you" can be both formal, and we call it "aap." It's more plural form and becomes more formal. And "tu" is a singular form, and it's used for informal term. And you can see by changing "tu kaise ho" in formal, and when I go to formal, it says "aap kaise ho," and it's also available in German. I don't know how to pronounce it, but if I change that, it changes. We make this available in. We started making this available in 6 different languages, and we are getting started. We'll expand to other languages. The 6 languages where you have the formality switch available are actually. Let me go to the What's New page. It is Hindi, German, Spanish, Japanese. Let's go to What's New. French, Italian, and those are French, German, Hindi, Italian, Japanese, and Spanish. You have this ability to take greater control from the AI. to determine whether you want the person to be addressed formally or informally.
What are some of the use cases for the formality? Now, off the top of my head, I can assume some, but I'd love to hear from you the use cases for changing the formality of a translation.
So let's take, for instance, the localization. Let's assume you are a gaming company, and the kind of tone as a gaming company you want to reach out to your fellow gamers would be rather more informal. You want to make it relatable. You don't want to create distance by making things too formal. And that's a great way to take your message to other gamers. So that is where you might use an informal tone. Whereas you're an insurance company, let's assume where you come there for some grievances or something, you want to be a lot more formal. You want to show you want to control the tone in which you approach your customers. And this is where you will use more formal tone uh, to to maintain that relationship. Again, communication is part words and part how you say it, and we help in ensuring that the words you choose to reach out to the customers, you have better customization using Amazon Translate's various tools.
Now, a couple of questions we have from the chat, and sorry, Jeff. How can we translate a document such as like a PDF?
So Amazon Translate today supports 6 different document types: plain text, HTML, docx, PPTX, PowerPoint, a spreadsheet, XLSX, and XLIF. XLIF is the kind of document that you use in localization world. So if you have a PDF, if you can convert that to a docx file, it's fairly simple. Then Amazon Translate would enable the translation of docx files. You might wonder why not you translate PPT, why not you translate PDF from scratch? PDF is not an editable format. When you translate something, people still want to own the translation experience. They want to be able to make final edits in the translated material, and PDF does not lend for edits or post edits, as we call it, after translation. And that's why we haven't focused on PDFs. Whereas if you have anything that is editable like Word doc, Excel, PowerPoint, you can use Amazon Translate to translate these files, and then you can also make final edits. I think I showed, I think in the previous days, told that I will show you how to translate a Word doc.
Mm-hmm.
So let me, while we talk, let me kick off the translation.
Sure.
So that by the end of our conversation, you'll see the translated material out there.
Yeah, and actually, one of the customer incident response team used to translate our response framework to different languages to support our customers in non-English native countries, and it was great to use, and we received tons of great feedback about using that to extend the reachability of those.
We've got a lot of great questions in chat here, and one of them asks, or Sneha asks, who says, can it give voice output after translating? And we actually have a separate service. We have Amazon Polly, which is text to speech to do that.
And kind of in the same realm, there's does it support translate by speech?
You can always use Amazon Transcribe to convert the speech to text, use Translate to translate the text, and use Polly to translate that text to speech.
Yeah, so what we have is we have multiple different services that you can easily take and connect together to build many kinds of language-oriented applications.
So one thing I was sharing my screen as I was sharing the Declaration of Human Rights. It was just sharing and just pulled it down. And I want to translate in, like, say, 5 different languages. Any recommendation of 5 different languages will help. So I'll show you what I'm doing. Let me share my screen again. So one thing you might see in Amazon Translate is, so far I did the real-time translation. Now I want to go and show what batch translation does. And in batch translation is where I'm going to translate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. So I'm just going to call it Dic Demo. The original language is in English. Do you have a suggestion on what language you would like me to translate in this doc? Let's say Spanish.
Let's say Spanish, German, Greek.
Let's do that.
That leaves us with 2 more languages we need to select. Anyone have recommendations? Do we support Urdu?
We
I
do.
apologize. Let's do Urdu.
Yeah.
So this is what I'm doing. You're seeing a lot of clicks, but I'll make sure that I explain what those clicks are. And so the first thing I'm doing is I'm giving this job a name. I'm selecting the source language is English. The target language for this first job, I'm calling it German. The input, I pasted this Word doc in the S3 bucket in a location so that not only translates this doc, if you have, as I said, million files, up to 1 million files, you can put all of them into the S3 bucket and make one API call to translate them all. The format that we had the Declaration of Human Rights is in Word. I want this to be translated. I want the translated content to be posted in the output location. Here is where you can let's say Amazon Translate always. I mean, Amazon always prints all your data, but if you want to bring your own keys, you can bring your own keys and encrypt output. Maybe you're not going to try that. And if you are talking about Amazon Translate, there are other ways you can customize it. You like, if, let's say, an audience that you're reaching out to, you don't want them to expose to profanity, and if the input stream is you can't control it, let's say it's user-generated content, you can mask the profanity by turning on the profanity filter. I'm sure Declaration of Human Rights will not have profanity filters, so we don't need to worry about that. I want to talk about custom terminology. Custom terminology is like Jeff and Watson and Kyle. We know how we write our name. Even then, we can use different spellings to write our names in English. But especially when you write in another language, say Urdu or Greek or Hindi, the scripts are very different, and you can say the same word in multiple ways. And like words like named entities, you want to be able to control the translation, the spelling of those named entities in the new language. And that is where you would use custom terminology to ensure that you control how the names are represented in other languages. And this is a parallel data. Parallel data is a place where I was talking about how you're in medical field or legal field. You have previously translated documents and you want to get the translation done in that tone. So what you do is you bring in your data, is your IP, by the way. You bring in your data, you use that data to influence the machine translation's output, and you can also enhance or update your data. So, for example, 2 years back, coronavirus wasn't known to everyone, but last 2 years we have been talking as if it's in our vocabulary. So when such large changes happen, machine translation should be quick to learn. But if, let's say, it happens in your field and then you want to be quick to adapt, you can bring in your parallel data to enhance or customize your machine translation. As I said, I'm not building any models. I'm just bringing in examples of translation, and Amazon Translate learn from it and provide the empty output. Then I provide.
Watson, is the parallel data in the source language or the target language?
You need 2 examples. So let's say, how are you? And you want to translate it to aap kaise ho, tu kaise ho, or kya haal hai. Like, these are different ways of saying how are you, like how do you do, howdy, how's it going? And with parallel data, you provide something that is in the input where the source language, you tell how it is written, and in the target language you also say how you would like that to be translate,
Okay.
and you give multiple examples. So think of it as you're bringing in your own data to enhance the AI. So think of it, or think of a medical or an interpreter. You become an interpreter, and then you get training, and then become a medical interpreter. You get training, and you become a military interpreter. That extra training, it actually comes from learning new ways of new sentences. In this case, Amazon Translate is general purpose, but when you give training with your data, it learns from your data and provides output the way you want it.
Interesting. So you convey a sense of the style of the original author or speaker.
Yes, that is correct.
Interesting. Okay. So if I took, let's say, one or two of my blog posts, we translated those manually, and then I said I want to translate 3,000 others, we could put that manual translation in there as the parallel data, and translate the 3,000 automatically, and then it would be somewhat Jeff-like in the target language.
Yep, that is correct.
Okay.
Jeff-like in 75 languages.
Oh no, very scary.
So I just started a job in German. I'm going to start a job in Greek, and I'm going to start a job in Urdu. Those are the things I'm doing. So you can see once I start setting things up in German, kicking off one in Greek is so easy. I just, instead of copy, I'll make it Urdu.
While you're setting that up, someone in the chat mentioned it'd be great to take feedback from the users and improve it further. Is there a feedback mechanism for Translate to help improve translations?
Yes, there is. So let's say, how are you? And you, let's say, let's just try it. So you don't really like it, or maybe I put a full stop, and for some reason, let's say the full stop doesn't show up in the translation. Actually, you can see there is a full stop shown in the translation.
Okay.
Let's say that there is a feedback and the full stop doesn't show up. You can just copy, click on the feedback here. Are you satisfied with the translation? Maybe I'm not. The correct translation is the one with the full stop. And the full stop is missing. Did I use a custom terminology? These are the ones where named entities are translated. No, I did not. And if you submit, we will get a ticket, and we will ensure that we understand the mistakes are documented and we fix them based on your feedback.
Wow, that is great. Does Translate also support numbers?
Yes, we do support numbers. So let's say 100. Give me a language where the numbers are different. Let's say
I'll give you my social security number.
Yay. So there we go. In the US, the comma is the 1,000 separator, and in Europe, the full stop is a 1,000 separator, and you can see that the 1,000 separator is translated correctly. If there is another language where the numbers are different, I can certainly try. Let's say Arabic is still certain parts of Arabic still uses numerical numbers. Can you give me a language where numbers are written in different scripts?
I'm at a loss.
I'm still struggling with English, so.
So let me start. Yeah, let me give a demo where like 100 or 1,000 with the comma as a 1,000 separator is translated correctly, and if I say 50,
I'm hearing Swedish, French, Chinese, and Japanese.
Chinese.
And Hindi.
I think Hindi, at least I know we use the same script. Yep. So Hindi, you won't see. It's mainly in the European places where the decimal separator and the 1,000 separators are swapped between comma and decimal point. And we do ensure that it is localized correctly based on the language that you are translating it to.
So, one thing I didn't understand when you talked about processing Word documents in other formats is, and I think you're about to show us this, is the output result a freshly edited Word document with the translation in place?
So we are translating the Declaration of Human Rights, and once the translation happens in the new language, in the target language, uh, let's say like a full stop is missing, or a person's name first character is not capitalized, and you see some mistakes, you want to be able to edit it. In PDF, it's very difficult to edit, and that's why we have not prioritized PDF in supporting it. Oh, talking about that, I one thing I want to share, another cool thing that came up in my so let's look at this. This is the this is where I picked up this is where I picked up the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, and let's assume that like you want to be able to translate this web page in your language. You can do that. Actually, I'll share a blog. I'll share a link to where you can get this plugin. And the plugin is Amazon Translate plugin. You provide your authentication so that your account, you call this Amazon Translate plugin with using your AWS account. And let's say we want to translate to Greek. We can do that today by just using that plugin and clicking go, and we will translate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights in the language of your choice. And that is the translation of Universal Declaration of Human Rights in Greek.
Awesome. Yeah, I love this concept of meeting people where they're at and doing our absolute best to give them something that is not just in their language, but with the appropriate level of formality or informality, and just saying, we're doing our absolute best to be human here. I just love that.
Yes. And again, in this feedback, I want to bring back to the feedback is like you can also provide like if you have issues and you want to provide feedback on new features, you can click here for the feedback and ask for new feature requests for Amazon Translate. So if you have great ideas that you want us to look into, go to our console, click on the feedback in the bottom left, and you can provide feedback on the general feedback on Translate. But if you want to provide feedback specific to a particular translation, go below here and you can provide this feedback. So that's why we are trying to be a lot more responsive and customer obsessed when we provide a machine translation solution.
Excellent. Well, we are just about out of time, Watson. What can you tell us a little bit about just the pricing model for our customers?
Fantastic. So Amazon Translate is, let's go to the pricing page of Amazon Translate. So Amazon Translate is a pay-as-you-go service. You only pay for what you translate. And to get started, we give you a free tier for 1 year in standard translation and 2 months in customized translation, where you can try risk-free up to 2 million characters a month. And once you're outside the free tier, you only pay for what you translate, and you're charged by a number of characters. And if you translate 1 million characters, you end up paying $15. And Amazon Translate is available in 17 different AWS regions. So you also control which region you want to run the machine translation. And it's the same price in all the regions today. And for the latest news on the price per region, certainly visit our pricing page. If you're using active custom translation, where you bring your own data and then get the customized translated output, the cost is $60 per million characters. Again, zero cost to build a customization model, to update your training data. Zero cost. You only pay for what you translate. So you bring in 1 GB of training data and you translate "How are you?" You only pay the cost for the number of characters that belong to "How are you?" To give you an example, let's say to translate the Universal Declaration of Human Rights that I kicked off, it takes 16 cents to do the translation in standard translation, and it takes 64 cents to translate it using your own custom translation.
Excellent. Well, this has been really illuminating. I think I've learned a lot, and I hope our audience has as well. Kyle, did you have any final questions?
No, I am color me impressed, because this is a very powerful service, and I can't wait to see where Translate goes from here.
Yeah, I'd love to just see how our audience is going to take this and build amazing things with it. So Watson, thanks so much for being with us today and sharing this really cool service with us. As a reminder to our audience, we stream every Friday at noon Pacific time. We love to see you every week. This coming Monday on March 14th is AWS Pi Day 2022, and we've got a full day of awesome content in line for you. Hope to see you there as well. Kyle, it has been awesome to host with you. Thank you, Genesis and David, for the incredibly good ASL interpretation. I know our audience has told us multiple times how much they appreciate that. And from Seattle, this is Jeff Barr signing off and wishing you a great weekend.
And from Reno, Nevada, where it's snowing next minute, take care.